Hello everyone! Welcome to this video presentation. I am Rosnancy Sinaga. I'm going to present about School of Management Thought. Nowadays, running schools is getting more and more complex. School leaders are expected to combine skills of managing knowledge and ideas as well as staff and resources. The school regards management as a process of getting things done with people operating in organized groups. This school approach to management is taken by scholars through a case study. Then they identified management as a study of experience. And after they learn from the experience, they transfer the knowledge to practitioners and students. This school of thought believes that by analyzing the experience of successful managers or the mistakes of poor managers, they can learn about how to apply the most effective management for the school. There are various approaches to the study of management as propounded by specialists from different disciplines, but we can call these various approaches as the schools of management thought. The schools of management thought are theoretical frameworks for the study of management, and each of these management thought are based on different assumptions about human beings and the organizations for which they work. I will be explaining to you some of the school of management thought or approach. The first one is the classical school. The classical school or approach is the oldest formal school approach. Its roots predate the 20th century, and this approach concerns ways to manage work and organizations more efficiently. And within this approach, there are three areas of study, namely scientific management, administrative management, and bureaucratic management. Another school of management thought is administrative management, or we can call it functional approach. This approach focuses on the management process and principles of management. And this management thought provides a more general theory of management thought. And Henry Fayol is the major contributor for this approach. Fayol was a management practitioner who brought his experience to bear the subject of management functions and principles. Fayol argued that management was a universal process consisting of functions, which he termed planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. Fayol also believed that all managers performed these functions and that the functions distinguished management as a separate discipline of study, apart from accounting, finance, and production. In this approach, Fayol also presented 14 principles of management, which included maxims related to the division of work, authority and responsibility, unity of command and direction, centralization, subordinate initiative, and team spirit. Another school of management thought is scientific management. In the late 19th century, management decisions were often arbitrary and workers often worked at an intentionally slow pace. There was a conflict between the management and the workers. So scientific management was introduced in an attempt to create a mental revolution in the workplace. And it was defined to improve the efficiency. Frederick Taylor was the main proponent. So the scientific management has several major principles. The first is it calls for the application of the scientific method to work in order to determine the best method for accomplishing each task. The second, scientific management suggests that workers should be scientifically selected based on their qualifications and trained to perform their jobs in the optimal manner. Another principle within this approach is the scientific management advocates genuine cooperation between workers and management based on mutual self-interest. And finally, the last principle is scientific management suggests that management should take complete responsibility for planning the work and that workers' primary responsibility should be implementing the management's plans. And another important characteristics of scientific management include the development of performance standards and the implementation of a pay for performance incentive plan based on the work standards. Another important school of management thought is behavioral. This approach was developed because of perceived weakness in the assumptions of the classical school, as the classical school emphasized efficiency, process, and principles, and disregarded some important aspects of human behavior. Thus, the behavioral school focused on trying to understand the factors that affect human behavior at work. One study under the behavioral approach is human relations. Hawthorne began this approach in 1924 together with another researchers, and one of the major conclusions of the Hawthorne studies was that workers' attitudes are associated with productivity. Another was that the workplace is a social system and informal group influence could exert a powerful effect on individual behavior. Another conclusion of their study is that the style of supervision is an important factor in increasing workers' job satisfaction. Hawthorne studies also found that organizations should take steps to assist employees in adjusting to organizational life by fostering collaborative system between labor and management. So this study concluded that there is increasing interest in the human element at work. Hawthorne also emphasized that the manager should possess skills for diagnosing the causes of human behavior at work, interpersonal communication, motivating and leading workers. So Hawthorne focused on how to satisfy the worker needs. If the worker needs were satisfied, then the workers would be more productive. Another thought within behavioral approach is behavioral science. This approach was emerged in the 1950s, and it was the progress of the human relations movement. And this approach was focused on applying conceptual and analytical tools to the problem of understanding and predicting behavior in the workplace. The study of behavioral science was found out by Gordon and Howell in 1959, in which they emphasized the importance to management practitioners of understanding human behavior. The behavioral science school has contributed to the study of management through focusing on personality, attitudes, values, motivation, group behavior, leadership, communication, and conflict, among other issues. Another school of management thought is the quantitative. The quantitative school or approach focuses on improving decision making via the application of quantitative techniques. And within this quantitative approach, there is management science. Management science uses mathematical and statistical approaches to solve management problems. And this was developed during the World War II as it tried to apply scientific knowledge and methods to the complex problems of war. The management science was developed by George Danzig, and he used mathematical approach to determine the optimal allocation of scarce resources. And there was some inventions during this time, and one is the computer. The advent of the computer made many management science tools and concepts more practical for industry. Increasingly, management science and management information systems are intertwined. The management information systems focuses on providing needed information to managers in a useful format and at the proper time. And the decision support systems attempt to integrate those decisions, models, data, and the decision maker into a system that supports better management decisions. Other school of management thought in quantitative school is production and operations management. The school focuses on the operation and control of the production process that transforms resources into finished goods and services. And this approach uses many of the tools of management science. This approach emphasizes productivity and quality of both manufacturing and service organizations. Edward Deming exerted a tremendous influence in shaping modern ideas about improving productivity and quality. And major areas of the study included capacity planning, facilities location, facilities layout, materials requirement planning, scheduling, purchasing and inventories control, quality control, computer integrated manufacturing, just-in-time inventory systems, and flexible manufacturing systems. So the last thought of School of Management is the System School. The System School focuses on understanding the organization as an open system that transforms inputs into outputs. This approach is based on the work of a biologist, Ludwig von Bertalanffy. He believed that general systems model could be used to unite science. This approach began to have a strong impact on management in the 90s as a way of thinking about managing techniques that would allow managers to relate different specialties and parts of the company to one another, as well as to external environmental factors. So this system approach focuses on the organization as a whole, its interaction with the environment, and its need to achieve equilibrium. So this is the end of this presentation about School of Management Thought. I hope you can learn something, and thank you for watching.